So hello all and welcome. And in this video, I'd like to discuss a supposed new dating phenomenon which apparently proves that traditional relationships are over. The past is dead. The future is female. We're now entering a wonderful postmodernist utopia dystopia where everything is turned on its head. Left is right, up is down, good is evil, evil is good. The traditional is dead. Long live the recent thing, whatever it is, so long as it's not traditional. So let's get right into this story, shall we? This is going to be my first time reading it along with you, so it should be interesting. So this article was written by somebody named Rebecca, with K, Rebecca Scanlan. Interesting name. Women are pushing back on relationships as we know them to instead deviate from traditional expectations, new data reveals. Okay. Meet a man, get married, have a family. What's wrong with that? It's oppression. If you marry a man, it's slavery. Meanwhile, at the same time, feminists say, oh, you should be free to choose whatever life you want. You go, girl. Empowerment. Unless you want to be married, at which point you are a part of the problem. And you're making women look bad. Yeah, you're a good woman as long as you follow the current narrative. What's wrong with meeting a man, getting married, and having a family? Is that bad? Apparently. That's the timeline. Women have historically been sold. Oh, they've been sold it. That isn't just what works. That isn't like the rising and the setting of the sun and the seasons. It's not an expression of, how the world actually works. It's not something that has arrived from our interaction with our environment. It's not what works within the environment, within the world, within the reality that we exist in. That's just not what works best. No, 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 no. This new polyamorous, open relationship, situationship deal, that's where we need to be going. Okay. It's been sold as the most successful pathway to happy life. That's because it generally is. Or at least it was until women said, nah, we're going to go compete with men and try to be men and say men are evil. At the same time, we try to be them. And then at the same time, try to feminize them, even though the feminine is supposed to be the best, the ideal, as we run around telling men that they need to be more emotional, more emotionally available. And we're becoming more like what we call toxic. Interesting. But despite that messaging being shoved down our throats, is it though? When was the last? Was this messaging ever shoved down people's throats? I mean, it was kind of the status quo, but shoved down people's throats. I mean, isn't that what's happening now with this woke stuff? Isn't that the shoving that's going on? It feels like that's what's going on. That the only shoving going on is the people on the other side of the aisle, the lefties, the wokies, telling us we can't embrace a traditional life and that we need to embrace this postmodernist crap and be woke and not adhere to anything traditional. At every conceivable opportunity, women have had enough, have they now? Oh, this is a you go girl, slay queen, continue making bad choices, even though women are less happy than they've ever been. I see. So this article is just one big piece of copium. New data. Oh, wait a second. This is from Australia. That explains that. New data has revealed women are sick of the constant pressure to follow traditional relationship timelines. Wait. What are you talking about? I mean, you're talking like it's 1965 or something. I mean, when was the last time women had pressure to be traditional? If anything, the greatest amount of pressure is coming from those on the left for women to dump traditional gender roles and to go work for some corporation and be beholden to a man, woman, some other person, doesn't matter, listen to them, obey them, be a wage slave, instead of be submissive to a husband that you love and children that you have born and raised. Makes a lot of sense. With 1 in 3 now stating they're no longer focused on achieving societal milestones. Well, no, they're focused on achieving milestones, just not the ones they've been told are evil and horrible by the old feminist broads now, who don't want to take responsibility for their unhappiness and the 12 cats in their boxed wine. So instead, they want misery in their own company, and they blame men, and they blame the world, and they blame society and societal norms. Meanwhile, their own unhappiness is really coming from the bad choices they've made, meaning those choices which has caused them to eschew that which is traditional, and to live this postmodernist, Marxist lifestyle where men are the enemy, and that's what feminism teaches. And you'll be happier if you just focus on your career, like men did. Okay. Yeah, the findings uncovered in the 2024 annual dating report. What do you mean 2024? It's only 2023. What is this, like when they make a car that's like the new 2024 Cadillac Seville? Do they make Cadillacs still? I guess not. Oh, it's a car they still make. I don't know. But this is the new 2024 Cadillac, and it's 2023. Is that what this is? It's not even 2024 yet. What are you talking about? The findings uncovered in the 2024 annual dating report from Bumble. Bumble? Isn't Bumble that site where the women have to make the first move on dudes? When does that happen? I feel like anybody working at Bumble, running Bumble, employed at Bumble is going to be pretty out of touch with how the world actually works. Shows women are pushing back and are instead prioritizing finding the right partner instead of rushing to hit outdated goals. Like finding the right partner? Wait a second. I thought you said that women were beyond outdated goals, but isn't finding the right partner one of those goals that you say is outdated? Okay. I'm already seeing some issues here. I always run into this. Whenever I read these pro-lefty copium articles where these people suffering from cognitive dissonance and they have a poor grasp of logic, I always run into contradictions very early on. It just gets very confusing. Didn't you just say that that's an outdated goal, and now you're saying that women are rightly pursuing, prioritizing, finding the right partner instead of rushing to hit outdated goals, which you just said are outdated goals? That you said that's an outdated goal? All right. Women are increasingly looking around and wondering why they feel the need to follow an outdated rule book. What outdated rule book? When it comes to their dating journeys and relationship milestones. What milestones? You just said women are rightly pushing back by prioritizing finding the right partner. But isn't that a traditional TradCon view that you just said they're pushing back against? Okay, let's see where this goes. In fact, 31% of women say they're no longer focused on adhering to traditional relationship timelines and milestones. But didn't you just say that's not the case and they're trying to find the right partner? So timelines are out and choosing your own path is in. Okay, whatever. What is timeline decline? The exciting phenomenon is growing so much. Well, what exciting phenomena are you talking about? I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. What? Oh, timelines are out, but you just said women are prioritizing finding the right partner. Oh, but you didn't say when. Okay. Are you going to say when now? Let me guess, after 30, after they've established their career. Of course. Bumble have dubbed it the timeline decline, but explain the shift is not the end of romance as we know it. Well, men are the romantic gender. We know that. When was the last time women planned anything or tried to make anything romantic? They're not the ones that leave, a line of rose petals to follow and, plan Valentine's Days and, buy men flowers. That doesn't mean romantic relationships aren't important anymore. Miss McMart explained, of course. It's primarily the men that create the romance. Of course, you want that. Because that's putting women on a pedestal, treating them like a queen, stating that 72% of women on Bumble are looking for a long-term relationship. Uh-huh. However, only 23% are actively seeking out marriage as a goal. Uh-huh. Women on Bumble. Women who have gotten so desperate, who are primarily or almost exclusively old biddies, who kind of aged out of the, you know, carousel riding dating market, who are so desperate that they'll actually approach a man and make the first move, and they're not looking or seeking out marriage. Yeah, big shocker there. Who wants to marry these old broads? I think that this is a really exciting evolution for Australian singles. I don't know what you're talking about. Sounds like a lot of copium to me. What's an evolution? Doing things on your own timeline? It sounds like the implication here is you should look for the right partner, but you shouldn't feel rushed to do so. What are you talking about? I think it depends on what your goals are, too. If you don't want to have kids, okay, but generally speaking, men that want to pair up with a woman long term want kids. So if you don't want kids or are unable to have kids, you're unlikely to find a man for a long term relationship. I don't know what to tell you, ladies. It sounds like this new phenomenon is just another way of coping with being old and alone by telling yourself that you'll find somebody. Yeah, says the women on Bumble who are so desperate they have to approach men. Okay. Oh, it's a really exciting revolution. Oh, yeah, these feminists, they love that word revolution. Well, they're Marxists, you understand, so of course they love that word. So often when you start dating someone and it gets serious, it can feel like you were on this hamster wheel. Oh, yeah, the hamster wheel. Yeah, in your head as you seek to rationalize and justify to yourself why you're still alone as a woman. Unable to deviate from the traditional expectations. Show me somewhere in the West where traditional expectations are the majority of people. It seems like, I mean, even when I look at the supposed trad cons here in America, they're not really all that traditional. They're in for gay people getting married. They were okay with gay people adopting kids. They don't seem that traditional or conservative to me. Where are traditional values reigning supreme? I don't see it. Didn't the Pope recently have a bunch of transsexuals, a bunch of trans drag queens? Didn't he invite a bunch of them to the Vatican? I mean, even the Catholic Church isn't conservative or traditional anymore. What are you talking about, traditional expectations? Who has traditional expectations anymore? Anyone? I mean, I'm sure some people do, but they're a minority big time. So often you start dating someone and it gets serious, it can feel like you're on a hamster wheel, unable to deviate from the traditional expectations around how a relationship should develop. I don't think that relationships is aught dichotomy. I don't think I think that the way these people are branding relationships as some kind of prescriptive is actually descriptive. I don't think that the way the left tries to brand relationships is just some kind of construct, and it's largely centered around men and what men want and the patriarchy. No, I think that traditional relationships, are a representation of an expression of objective reality. What works best within the natural world that we exist within. I don't think it's any kind of, or you could say it's a construct, but I think it's more of an expression of the reality that we exist within and the pressures that we are under. I think it's a very specific expression of objective reality and the best way to exist in this world. This world's a rough place, a tough place, man. Find somebody that compliments you, that has your same values, your same virtues. That can make things a heck of a lot easier. And then, of course, you have the meaning that comes with creating a family, creating new life. But no, that's a construct. You can't find happiness. Yeah, that's not the only way to find happiness. Well, I would agree. That's not the only way to find happiness. There's people like myself who have no interest in getting married. I'm far happier alone. Believe me, it's addictive. Not necessarily everybody is built for it, but I'm an exception. I don't think I am the norm. I wouldn't want me to be the norm. If I was the norm, the human race would die out. Anyway, yeah, move in together, get engaged, buy a home, get married, have a baby, but it's okay to want something different. No, 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 no. Yeah, it's okay to want something different, but you are lying here when you say that this is implying that it's okay to want that as well. But that's not what you feminists teach. You feminists teach that marriage itself, I love how they try to claim that they're so open-minded and tolerant and they don't really have a problem with marriage. These very people have been teaching for a century plus now that marriage is evil, it oppresses women, it enslaves them to a man, makes them subservient to him, and they don't have any freedom. That's what they teach. I love the gaslighting where they're like, oh, you could make that choice too. Yeah, but you'll shame the women who do. Bumble was built on the concept that traditional gender roles are outdated. Are they outdated though? Are they timeless? Because they represent how the objective world works and how we best work within that objective world. They're outdated. Yeah. Embrace momentary pleasures, the pleasures of the flesh. Embrace hedonism and chasing short-term pleasure and your wants and desires. Don't go for long-term stability and meaning. Oh, no. And no longer serves us in a modern society. They don't? Well, it depends on what kind of modern society you're building. I love how they identify the word modern with hedonism and pleasure chasing. Yeah. So we could be happier to see this revolution taking place. Yeah, the very people who push for hedonism and nihilism and there being no actual objective meaning to life are so happy that more and more people are embracing a nihilistic existence. Yeah, gotta love Nietzsche. You know, Nietzsche was a cuck. Nietzsche was a polyamorous freak, weak, loser. People don't understand. They don't know his personal history. He was a Satanist. He was a throuple participant. He chased some mediocre poon around Europe for years and shared her with another dude regularly, and they would have threesomes. Dude was a loser. You do not go to people like Nietzsche for your roadmap to existence, okay? 1 in 8 of those singles embracing timeline decline. Timeline decline. So this is just another way of codifying into their ideology and further cementing it in people's minds via a new buzzword. It's a new theory. It's called timeline decline. And we're calling it a theory, and we've wrapped it up with a nice bow, and we've given it a lot of ideological framework, so you'll just accept it, not even think about it. There's a lot of robust thought put behind this, and ideas, and, social construction went into it. Well, does it require any thought? No. It's pre-made thought. It's ideology, baby. We got your roadmap right here, this dogma. It sounds a lot like religion that just teaches really bad lessons. 1 in 8 of those singles embracing timeline decline also said they were actively avoiding friends and family who put pressure on them. Put pressure on them to do what? Find a long-term mate, which you just said earlier in this article was a good thing. Yeah, it's good. Oh, they're looking for the right person, but on your timeline, which could be anywhere from 18 to 80. If you don't feel ready, it's just don't pursue it. God forbid you do anything to make yourself ready. No. Wait until you're 50. Wait, well, I can have kids then. Oh, well. We're going to ignore objective reality and say it's all a construct. This is even more prevalent in Australia. With 1 in 4 women swerving those who didn't agree with their choices. I guess that means avoiding. Swerving those, is that a new slang term? I don't know. I guess avoiding those who didn't agree with their choices. Yeah, because God forbid you engage people who don't agree with your choices and have a conversation. No, 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 no. I'm going to be intolerant and just not talk to them. God forbid I listen. They might say something worth hearing. Intuitive intimacy. Intuitive intimacy. Sounds like you're saying that you should listen to your emotions when it comes to when you get intimate and who you get intimate with. Listen to your emotions instead of logic and reason. Oh, yeah, because that's how you live a meaningful life. No, that's how you live a life of hedonism and gluttony and lust, general sin. The dating app also uncovered other new trends in its data, including the number of, you mean Bumble? The Desperate Woman app, including a number of people who now believe emotional intimacy is more important than sex. You mean women who are like old and over the hill and men don't approach them anymore, so now they have to use an app where they approach the men and they're saying that the emotional intimacy is now more important than sex. Yeah, of course they're saying that. They're coping. I'm going to translate this. The translation is, I am now old and men don't pay attention to me anymore, and I can no longer actively ride the carousel, meaning getting the dudes that I want, because when I was younger, I slept with the top tier alpha dudes, and now I'm an alpha widow, and the only guys that'll pay attention to me or want to bang me are the dudes I don't want. So now I'm more interested in emotional intimacy, meaning now she's got no choice but to date dudes that she normally would not pay attention to, and she has no interest in sexually. So now she's interested in getting to know them, emotional intimacy, yeah, and waiting to sleep with them, yeah, where before she just gave it out like candy, but only to those dudes that were worthy of her, in her mind. Oh, yeah, no, I believe in emotional intimacy. It's more important than sex, stating it's actually more attractive than physical connection. Only because the guys that you are still attracted to are not attracted to you anymore, so now you're just coping. Stats show 32% of singles are focused on emotional intimacy. You mean women on Bumble, not men. Well, maybe the men that are on Bumble that would want these women. Yeah, maybe, because they might actually be looking for a long-term relationship. But those are the dudes that when these bros were younger, they wouldn't pay attention to. And that's why they only want emotional intimacy with those dudes over physical sexual acts, studying and looking for safety and security. Ah, they admitted it. That's what the women on Bumble are looking for, because these are the leftover of leftover broads who are too disagreeable, too difficult to deal with, too overweight, too whatever, too masculine. And so, you know, they got no choice but to settle for one of those 95% of dudes who 10 years ago, they wouldn't have given the time of day to. While 3 in 4 women said it's key that their partner has an understanding of both emotional and physical intimacy. You mean 3 out of 4 women on Bumble. Yeah. They're all like the same woman on that app, you know. Open-hearted masculinity. What? You mean men that act more like women, so they're not masculine at all? I love this. When was the last time somebody said to a woman, be more silent, be less emotional, be less open, be less vulnerable, be more stoic? Never. But for some reason, men are always having feminine traits pushed on them as if they are the ideal. Meanwhile, all these women that are pushing that are trying to act more like men. Interestingly, 1 in 4 men revealed that they've actually changed their behavior when dating, becoming more vulnerable and open with people they're romantically pursuing than ever before. Of course, you want to change men? Tell them they have to be this, that, and the other if they want to get a woman. Watch how quickly they change into something that isn't really in line with their nature, which is what this is all about, really. Making men less masculine, making men weaker, because a country of weak men is easily conquered ideologically and in open warfare. For a quarter of men, this newfound openness has had a positive impact on their mental health. Says who? Says those men? Yeah. Well, they got to tell themselves that, don't they? What else are they going to tell themselves? Oh, they're trying to virtue signal and be a pick-me guy. And 1 in 3, a lack of vulnerability is now a dating deal breaker. And for 1 in 3, a lack of vulnerability. For 1 in 3 men or women looking for men. It's not very clear here. Are they saying that for 1 in 3 men, a lack of vulnerability in a woman is a deal breaker? Or are they saying for the women on Bumble, 1 in 3 of those women, if the man's not vulnerable, that's a deal breaker? It's not clear. New dating trends revealed by Bumble, the popular dating app. Is it popular? Okay. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. Which has been around for almost 10 years. Huh. Also said there had been a rise in people valuing engagement on issues that matter to them. A trend dubbed Valcore dating. Yeah, because we're going to find ever more ways to keep people apart, right? So let's polarize people along ideological, political, social lines, and then, of course, magnify the importance of those things. Yeah. Let's call this a value when it's not really. Like, oh, I like Trump. It's not a value. But if you like Trump, a lot of women are like, no! You're out of here. You are not under consideration anymore. Yeah. But this Valcore dating actually is just creating ever more obstacles for men and women to get together. In practice, this looks like doing something that our parents' generation would have thought unthinkable, bringing up topics like politics, the patriarchy. Patriarchy, this is all ideological claptrap nonsense, okay? That is just automatically implied to be truth. And if you dare challenge or question any of it, you're out of here, man. Yeah. Climate change, oh, that bunk. Racial injustices, give me a break. Who's got affirmative action? Not Whitey. Or even the rising wealth gap on a first date. Wealth gap? I told you, this is all Marxism. These are all different flavors of Marxism. Oppression Olympics here. Wealth gap. Give me a break. What a bunch of nonsense. That's a non-issue, okay? Or even earlier, said Miss McCart, I know when I was growing up, my mom told me it was the height of rudeness to ask someone how they voted. Yeah, who cares? I mean, it's more important now. I do think it's important that people have the same values. I do indeed. But of course, I don't necessarily believe that people who don't have to sign up for the draft or who don't, at the end of the day, pay any actual taxes, I don't believe those people should necessarily be able to vote. So a lot of people out there of the opposing gender, in my world, this wouldn't be an issue because they wouldn't be able to vote because they don't pay any taxes and they don't have to put their lives on the line. Anyhow, but for young people, discussion about how they plan to vote in the recent Voice referendum and asking others how they plan to vote was all over social media and dating apps by extension. Yeah, it used to be that a husband's political views were the wife's political views. It used to be that politics was the venue of men because there's a lot of layers, a lot of subtlety, a lot of black, white, and gray in between. That generally speaking, women, I know some people might agree with me, mostly women, don't have the grasp of logic and reason to understand or really vote on effectively. Women are too emotional. I mean, just look at what our country's become. All this welfare, all this pathological compassion, all this wasting of resources on people and programs that really do nothing more than enable those people in their bad behavior. That comes from women. That don't come from men. Men are by and large practical and pragmatic. So these kind of programs are all down to women and their fee-fees. Other dating habits on the rise included betterment burnout, which refers to Aussie singles who are rebelling against constant self-improvement. Yet, God forbid you continue to improve yourself. You might become too strong in mindset and your beliefs to be easily controlled by the state. You might have some actual self-esteem and self-respect. which means you're not going to settle for this nonsense. Can't have that. Well, so there you go. There you go. So, this weird new trend, timeline decline, is essentially just a rebranding of all the same old feminist crapola, but they're trying to wrap it up with a bow and some fancy wrapping, and they're trying to rebrand very old and essentially ideas that have been proven false and detrimental to women's mental health and happiness. They're trying to do a rebrand here. Yeah, we've got the new feminism for the latter half of the 21st century, ladies, being sold to young women by the women who were failed by it in the 20th century and early 21st. Lovely, lovely. So there you go. Women make other women miserable. And of course, this advice is from a woman being fed to other younger women to lead them down the same failed path. Yep. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Should women not care about time? What is time? Right? It's not a real thing. It doesn't exist. Even though you can objectively affect how quickly it passes relative to the person experiencing it. So it does very much exist if you can manipulate it and influence its passing. But hey, no, it's not a real thing, and it doesn't matter, and you're 20 or you're 40. Just prioritize when you find that partner, but do so whenever you want, and pay no heed to other people, red pill, people who are aware of how objective reality works. Pay no heed to them telling you you better get a move on because 90% of your eggs are dead at 30, which is an objective truth, but you know, let's embrace magical thinking and gaslight ourselves into believing that, you know, time and the consequences of ignoring it don't actually matter when it comes to things like, biology and other pesky realities. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and please like and subscribe to my alt tech channels. You will find my name on those other channels at the top of this page. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Give me a like, give me a thumbs up, and leave a comment. It's good for the algorithm. Anyhow, I wish you all a good and pleasant day. Take care.